part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I'm your host, Damon Royster, and we are continuing our journey into the lore that is Batman. We are doing our second Batman coverage. The first one went so well. I think absolutely slayed it, killed it. Vicky Vale, Jack Nicholson, remember those thoughts? It went well. But today we are forgetting all of that. Let's not even mention that first podcast recording. Let's not even do it. Don't even talk about it. Today we are talking about Batman Returns, aka Bat plus Cat times Penguin equals gross sexy. And that's how I feel. This was a very gross sexy film. Obviously, from the last Batman podcast, remember I'm doing this thing where I'm going to start with my thoughts at the top of the podcast. That's nothing new, this old hat. This movie is a hard watch for me. I'm not a fan of the Tim Burton style. I'll just say that at the top. I'm seeing silent screams. But, you know, and that's how I feel when watching Tim Burton. I just don't like the decrepit 20th century, not even the 19th century moldy aesthetic that is Tim Burton's thing. I feel like I watched Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, and Sweeney Todd all rolled into one thing. But you know who I did love? I love Michelle Pfiffer. I love a Catwoman. I love her chemistry with Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton, solid Batman. I'll just say it right there. Danny DeVito could do without. I could do without the DeVito. I hate that every time he talked, something came out of his mouth. I was on the edge of my seat, ready to hurl. A disgusting man in onesies that were filthy. Do they even own washing machines in Gotham City? That's the top story I want told. Okay. Now, my guests, because I bet you're like, is he just going to do the solo? No. I have two friends, an M&M, as I would call them, two M performers. What's great is I directed both of them separately. So, you know, throughout the podcast recording, if they would love to, I would love for them to share something that I taught them that they still carry with them, or even more importantly, if I taught them something and they're like, I will never do that ever again. Also, would love to share that.
Or if you have any notes at any point for either of us, we can implement on the fly.
Oh my God, I have been stockpiling notes for both of you. I've never stopped. My first guest, dear friend of the pod, third time on the podcast. She's talked about the Marvels and She-Hulk. Fun fact, our top-rated episode, our most listened to episode of this podcast is the She-Hulk Attorney at Law episode.
Really?
I don't know if she knows this. Yes, it is number one. Hundreds of listens.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I really went off on that show. I hated it.
I know. And I don't know if
Well, that's probably why people liked it, that podcast, because everybody hated that show.
We were searching for
like
clarity.
Incels listening and be like, yeah, she's right. Women shouldn't be in comic book shows.
Fuck that green woman. So, you know, this podcast will prove, was it She-Hulk or was it her herself? Here she is for your ears, Maureen Monahan, back again.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Damon.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. I would like to say you are the Catwoman to this trio that we have today.
Wow, that's really high praise because she's awesome.
She rocks.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe my eyes. I do have qualms, but I'll get to those. But if Maureen is the Catwoman, this next guest certainly is the Penguin onto itself. Truly, my second guest is a hilarious sketch performer and writer and actor. Will turn any conversation sad at the drop of a hat.
I resent that.
Okay.
Just like the Penguin himself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. You know, when you like talk about how it's difficult to get to know you and like bond with you on a personal level.
I would die if someone introduced me on a podcast like this, Damon.
I guess in that vein, it does remind me of, I went on a bachelor party and everybody had nicknames on their back, and like one guy was like Pussy Weasel and one guy was like The Rocket, and mine was Recovering Alcoholic on the back of my jersey. So I guess that is kind of sad. We're bringing up recovery. 2 minutes into the pod.
Put your hands and put your hands together.
It works if you work it. It works if you work it, guys.
This is, of course, Michael Skarston. Yay!
Yay!
Man, Michael, how have you been?
Good. Full disclosure, I did put on a full leather onesie that I own, but then I couldn't find cat ears, so I put fishnet stockings over my face and looked at myself in the mirror and was like, this doesn't fucking read. And so I switched back to t-shirt and sweatpants before this.
I'm high-key furious that you didn't commit to that.
You couldn't read the full onesie here.
I see. And you refuse to do a podcast standing, I guess.
I do have a standing desk. I could have probably.
And honestly, the notes have already begun. I'm so sorry.
I'm just hearing excuses.
I mean, I can go camera off and throw it on real quick.
We'll see what happens after the break. I'm just gonna pretend you're wearing the full hellish leather catsuit that Michelle Pfiffer wore.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all. We did Batman Returns. Maureen Monahan, what are your initial thoughts on this film? A favorite?
Yeah. Well, I disagree with you about Tim Burton. Not that I'm not like a big Tim Burton head. I'm pretty medium on him in general, but there's nothing I hate more than a self-serious superhero movie. And I love that this is just wacky, campy, like series of unfortunate eventsville kind of aesthetic.
Yes, I believe the Red Triangle Gang were giving me Count Olaf's henchmen.
Yes, no,
time.
I bet honestly, probably an influence on Lemony Snicket.
Yeah,
probably. But yeah, I like this like goofy and so weird and campy, and that's why I think it works for me, the Tim Burton meeting the Batman of it all, rather whereas like things like Edward Scissorhands, I'm like a little bit more tepid on, but I loved the Tim Burton aesthetic paired with Batman.
Totally. I think I just have like PTSD because I know what will happen when Tim Burton leaves, but they still keep the aesthetic and they like still try for it.
And I haven't seen that movie, so I'm just blissfully ignorant.
All right. And Michael Skarston, the Lemony Snicket of this podcast.
Great.
I really do enjoy you. I'm so sorry. I'm dunking on you. But you're wonderful.
No, it's fine. Being sad is, it's a personality trait. And I'm not even sad. I just say,
I got you.
I went into it. These movies were really important to me as a kid, all of them. Actually, I think it was more the Joel Schumacher ones than the Tim Burton ones because I was a kid. But I went into it with the same thing, being like, I don't love Tim Burton. I like Edward Scissorhands, but I don't like pretty much anything else he's done. But I thought it was pretty good, I like 90s movies. I think Michael Keaton is wasted. And I love Michael Keaton, but you only get the that Keaton charm in like 2 scenes.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. I love I never clocked how hot this movie is when I was younger, but it's pretty hot. And I love DeVito in it. I love like a gross little grub in a little wet boy.
Wet boy.
A little wet boy who looks like and I love my favorite shot is at the end when he's dying and spoiler and there's like all that blue coming out of his mouth. It's just like great. And I actually do, to Maureen's point, I love I like how whimsical the score is too. I don't like how Tim Burton moves the camera.
Yes. To your point, Michael, the hotness of it, I was looking up Batman Returns. That was actually controversial in 1992 because they wanted, and that's why Joel Schumacher took over, because they wanted these to be more family friendly because, Batman is a 4-quadrant hitting IP. When Warner Brothers like made this movie, they wanted like families to come see it, and then here's Michelle Pfeiffer licking Batman from his head to his toes, and penguins biting off people's noses. Not very family friendly, but and also the penguin blatantly just says, "What do you say? There's the pussy I'm looking for."
Oh yeah, I that's the pussy I've been looking for.
Mm-hmm. So not quite family friendly. What I was also finding my research, Wikipedia, it's been more well regarded in later years as people, the kids, such as Michael and myself, who have grown up with this movie, have come back to it, and I think we liked it because we're little dang ass freaks. I think for this one, I want to just go. Let's explore. This is like character by character.
Yeah.
So Maureen Monahan,
Mhm.
producer Michael, back at it again, did some research on my guess, and you were actually on the nursing staff that was present when the penguin was born. Can you describe for us what it was like being in that Gotham mansion when this hideous child came into the world?
Yeah, that's so true. It was a home birth, which is sort of controversial at the time. Now it's becoming more accepted, but the penguin's evil rich parents wanted to have sort of homeopathic, sort of down to earth, sort of birthing experience.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, honestly, it was really beautiful. They both got into the tub together, the two parents, and it
I
was
love the
really like
tub.
a beautiful moment. They were breathing together. It was really peaceful. They were so happy. They were crying tears of joy as soon as the baby was crowning and then came out, to use the medical term. And then of course immediately they realized that it was a freak and like threw it into a basket and into the sewers. But up until that
Yes.
point, when they realized that their son was an ugly little freak, it was a really beautiful moment to help bring a child into the world like that.
Oh, I could imagine. I could imagine.
Yeah.
Um, and now, Michael Skarston, my question for you:
Mhm.
Do you think did the Prince of Egypt copy Batman Returns, or did Batman Returns copy the Prince of Egypt with the baby in the river?
I mean, I know very well that the Cobblepots, read the
The name.
Talmud.
Yeah,
And
yes.
so they, took from the greats and were like, what would Moses do? Or what would Moses' mom and dad do? And I'm like,
Mhm.
throw that baby in a river.
Yeah. Thank you for
So they,
using the actual Egyptian accent.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Uh,
he also follows the same sort of liberating arc Oswald
mhm.
Cobblepot does
That's
after he
true.
finds his tribe of little penguins. It becomes a liberating journey, similar to Moses.
Yeah. What came first, the tribe of penguins or the gang? Like, do you think?
That's a good question. I honestly did feel that was a note that I had, is I thought they were kind of fighting.
Wait, who? The
The
gang of the
penguins and
penguins?
the penguins and the gang. The penguins and like the circus freaks.
I was very confused about literally everything about the penguin. Why would anyone follow this man, either as mayor of Gotham or as like a gang leader?
That was
What
something
does he have?
that's so fucking crazy that the movie was like, yeah, we're gonna have a whole arc where this horrible monster man he like looks like the embodiment of evil. We're gonna like have him kind of charm people and
Hmm.
like have him sort of run a campaign where he's running on his personality, on having like and convincing people that he's a good guy, but he like looks so villainous. He looks as
Yeah.
villainous as you could possibly look. And he's
And
like giving speeches about how he should be the
yeah,
mayor.
and the fucking
Please.
cop out that it's like it's also December, but he's running his mayoral campaign like never too early to start.
Yeah.
Watching it, just motivations during this era of filmmaking are just like, it's just like, and then that kind of just happens.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
there's there's a whole third of the movie where Shrek isn't there.
Shrek.
We we need to talk about him, by the way.
Yeah, I
I'm
wrote
sure we'll
Shrek.
get to him.
I
I
mean,
kept waiting for Donkey to show up.
I wait. That's
Hey.
the nice thing for the villains is they all. Oh wait, thank you. Thank you for being brave enough to say it, Michael.
I
Uh,
underlined it, so I made sure that that got into the pod.
oh, I'm saying this. Uh, the beautiful thing is like the villains all kind of their storylines all intertwine through Shrek, who's kind of like the linchpin through
Mhm.
for Batman, or at least Bruce Wayne. So yeah, Penguin is funded by Shrek, who I guess is like a Trump figure.
Yeah, he's sort of a mover and
Somewhere here.
shaker. I would say. Tastemaker.
Yes. Who's building power plant that will actually suck power from all of Gotham.
Yeah.
And I guess he thought no one would even think to read the plans. Anyway, he backs the Penguin, and I don't know, the Penguin blackmails Shrek. It was interesting to watch because this all like flew over my head when I watched this in 1992 because, child. But it just, I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to reconcile Penguin's plan of just ruling Gotham. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
mad.
The
He's,
power dynamics at play don't really make a lot of sense. You kind of just have to let it flow, you know?
yeah, and that's hard for me,
It
Maureen.
asks a lot of your sort of like suspension of disbelief. It's like asking the movie asking you to kind of like follow a plot or like follow the shifting power dynamics is sort of like, yeah, I'm not gonna I'm just gonna like look at the pretty fun, whimsical movie and not like try to follow the dynamics at play. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Question for the pod. Would you trust a man who rode in on a duck? A big
Well,
ass rubber duck.
I wouldn't
Would you
hold it
trust that man?
against him. The duck wasn't the problem. Let's not act like the duck was the problem with the penguin.
Mm,
He would be, I wouldn't vote for him if he showed up in a normal car or a normal boat, even.
I think it's just misbranding. Why didn't he come in on a giant penguin? Like,
Oh,
why are you
yeah.
adding a different fowl into this equation?
Yeah, there's so many animals that there. I mean, there's plenty of penguins, but there's monkeys, there's ducks,
The fucking
and then I
the
don't.
monkey.
Why isn't the
The
rest of
organ
the
grinder.
game? Why isn't the rest of I would trust a gentleman on a duck.
Mm.
I think if some politicians here in Los Angeles would ride those swan boats in Echo Park, then that might be endearing. I trust the guy on the duck. I don't trust sewer people. You know, I,
Yeah.
Whoa.
I know, and I've been working on this. I've been reading theory. I've been doing what I need to do to get past that. But yeah,
I
I'm
You're
get,
just
I
not
working.
don't
you're
think
not
the
you're not there
problem
yet.
with Penguin wasn't that he's a sewer person either.
What then, Maureen? What
The
what was the
problem
problem
is
with the
his
penguin?
the stain on his onesie that followed along his ass crack. Why would his onesie be darker on his crack of his butt?
No.
If anything, you would think it'd be lighter in color.
If
And I'll
if
explain
anything.
why.
This,
It's
and
because
Please.
he probably is, he's running over, waddling around everywhere. He's probably getting wedgies, and that little
mm,
strip of fabric is probably wedging itself in his crack and not getting exposed to all the filth of the sewers.
but Maureen,
Continuity error.
I think they're saying that inside his crack is filthier than the sewers.
But why would it be?
Why would it be? I
Because
think
poo.
Okay, it's
he's
one person. Let's lay it all. It's one person's shit. Let's just say it. One person's poop from their butt. And the
let's just say
outside
it.
is all a million people's poop from their butts, the sewers. So why would it be, why would one person's poop make a darker stain than a million people's poop on the outside?
Well, okay, if we're following this, because
Yeah.
And we are.
the sewer poop has been diluted by the water from the sewer, but
Mhm.
the the
Do we know
penguins
that?
crack poop. I mean, I think so.
It
He
could be
said they.
diluted by pee, though.
But there's also the variable we see in his mouth that he's flicking out some dark substance that we're not quite sure it is. Are you
That's
telling
true.
me that
Maybe it
that's
is.
the only thing coming out of him? We don't know what's coming out the back.
Maybe the
Yeah,
stain is blood.
Maybe. And maybe that's why his parents threw him in the river because he was doing all this shit.
I wouldn't judge them for that choice. There is kind of an exodusy thing going on in this movie, isn't there? Not just the basket,
Mm.
but then later he's like, I'm gonna kill all your firstborn sons or something,
yeah.
right?
Yes, First Sons of Gotham. Yeah.
This is like Veggie Tales.
This is
It's telling a Bible story.
This is Veggie Tales. I do have to interrupt the podcast real quick. I do have to interrupt the podcast. Michael, don't cut. I have to interrupt the podcast. I'm sorry. Are you seeing this cat woman behind me?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Wow. And that's how we transition. Catwoman. She is also in this movie. Michael Skarston. We did research on all our guests as we always do. And you were actually the cat wrangler on set for Batman Returns. Little known fact: little Michael was a cat wrangler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk to me? What it was like working with all those cats and Michelle Pfiffer?
It was tough. We had a stable, a harem of like 30 different cats, right?
Mm.
And we got all of them tested, self-reporting, right? But one of them, Mitski, had feline
Mitski.
leukemia, and she just wanted this opportunity, wanted her shot, and unfortunately infected the rest of the harem with feline leukemia. And so it was just horrible for the rest of the crew there. And so we lost a lot of good cactors that on that shoot. But we had a good, it was a good run. That's that scene with Selena where she becomes Catwoman was just like a wonderful day, an ensemble moment for everyone to shine. And so that's what I hold on to. That's the memory I like to hold on to, and not that Mitski is a lying feline leukemia spreading monster.
Well, thank you for saying her name and continuing her story. Maureen Monahan, how familiar are you with Catwoman origin?
Not really at all. I've
Okay,
seen this Catwoman and then also Anne Hathaway's very slay Catwoman in what is that? Is it
Batman, or sorry, The Dark Knight Rises.
Rises? Right. Yes. Yes.
And
That's
it,
basically my all my familiarity with the woman.
I will say this: the origin, I understand, it's more similar to the Anne Hathaway. She's just a cat burglar who just wears a cat suit.
Oh,
There's no like. Also, what happened to Michelle Pfeiffer in this movie? She gets shoved out a window, and then all these cat. This has bothered me my entire life. She falls
yeah.
out a window, and the cats just nibble at her, and she's like, "I am Catwoman now." Like, are they
I
radioactive cats? What's happening?
Yeah. And another sort of follow-up question, did that count as, because one thing I could see is like maybe she just all along had like this mutated gene or something where she
Could
has
be.
9 lives,
Hmm.
and that was one of her lives. Like she died and the cats were like licking her back to life, being like, get up, you still have 8 more lives. But I know that we get like kind of a count of how many lives so I don't know if that like if that was a death or
That
if that
count.
was her origin of becoming, like if the cats like licked her so much that she became a cat.
You know what I would have, you know what I needed? When Selena Kyle went home and she checked her answering machine, if there was a voice message from her mother going like, and don't forget, Selena, you have to, visit that shaman because you're still cursed with that Egyptian cat curse. You
That
might
would
turn
have,
into
yeah,
a cat person.
that
That
would
would
have
have helped.
helped. Yeah.
Hmm.
But, they only had time for so many voicemails.
Yeah, I think we got seven.
Yeah, there were several.
So yeah, we got Selena Kyle, Catwoman. You know what? My favorite version of her in this movie is when she is Catwoman, but she's outside of the Catwoman outfit and she's just like flirting with Bruce Wayne. I'm,
Yeah.
I was
All of
into
her
that.
outfits as like when she's supposed to be like frumpy are very cool. And her glasses are so cool that she wears. Her kind of
Hmm.
like slightly warped looking glasses. I don't know. She was
Yeah.
a big slay for me. And I only took 2 notes while I was watching, and they're both quotes. One of them is a Catwoman quote from earlier,
Oh, please.
and I don't even really remember the context. I think she's like angrily cleaning out Shrek's like cleaning up after like a meeting that Shrek had, and she says, "You stupid corn dog,
I
corn
wrote
dog,
the same
corn dog."
thing.
I remember that corn dog.
And it's not clear she's like talking about herself or she's calling Shrek a corn dog or what? Or if
I
it's
think it's
just sort of an expletive that she makes that's something that people say in this world, this whimsy, topsy-turvy Tim Burton world. Corn
I
dog is like the worst swear you can say, maybe.
well, I think she repeats it because she's like corn dog. Why did I say corn dog? What am I in a PG-13 movie?
Oh yeah, she does say that thing about being in a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
I remember.
You remember.
Yeah.
Um, Michael Skarston, any Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer thoughts you'd like to share?
I mean, I wrote down corn dog as well. She's the best part of this movie. When Danny
Yeah.
DeVito came on, I was like, oh, he's great. It's nice to see Danny DeVito like fucking commit to something. But she's so good in it, and I
Yeah,
love her as I read the Wikipedia as well, and they're talking about how they didn't
Oh,
think she would have the chops to pull this off, but I think she's so funny in the Selena Kyle parts and like unhinged. And I mean, yeah, I think she's fucking great. I don't really have much else to say. And like ridiculously hot. I just forgot how like formative this movie was for me. I was just like, oh my God.
And her suit is great in this. Like I like how it's kind of like I guess I don't think Anne Hathaway's looked like this, but like it has the kind of like stitched together little notch marks all over. I really like her Catwoman suit.
Yeah, I feel like the Anne Hathaway cat suit is very much just Black Widow, like Scarlett Johansson kind of thing. It's a cat suit for sure, but it's not.
Of it, yeah.
I think she's the best Catwoman, and I think she's the best in terms of like moral compass or whatever, or like actual reality in the Tim Burton movie. She's like the most realistic character too, in that it's like, yeah, you know, because Batman's basically a cop. He's still a cop. And it's like his fucking,
he's a billionaire cop.
Billionaire, the dream, the cop.
Billionaire vigilante cop.
And Catwoman being like, when she has the gun and is like, he's above the law, he should die. I'm just like, yes. And I'm, you know, I'm glad that they didn't make her. I was concerned when she teamed up with Penguin that she was going to be like truly a bad baddie the whole time. But then I was relieved when, you know, she has that anti-heroine kind of arc throughout the whole thing.
So, yeah. Oh my God. That scene when she teams up with Penguin and she eats the bird. Great.
Also, like, yeah.
Did that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, just Michelle Pfiffer, she could like spread pimento cheese on white bread, and I'd be like, oh my God.
All right, everyone, step away from your listening devices to make room for Michael Skarston's raging boner for Michelle Pfiffer.
Whoa.
Can we say that? Man, Michael, I hope we're on good terms. I'm having a blast. The last villain I want to talk about, we didn't even talk about Batman, but you know, we'll get to her. Shrek. A man named Shrek.
Insane, absolutely insane. The way that he is styled and that the whole character is insane. He looks like a really old like vice president or something. Like he looks like who like James K. Polk's vice president or somebody that you're like, oh, you belong in like the mid 1800s. You're wearing eyeliner and you have like big Mozart hair. But
that's
he's
what
like
it is.
In this kind of Tim Burton like pulpy. It's the 20s, but it's also the 40s, and it's also the like turn of the century, and also there are CD-ROMs and like Batman DJs.
And also like, Batman stationery.
Yes. But he like it's an accomplishment to like look out of place and off-putting in a exactly.
I'm holding up an image of President Polk's vice president, which of course we all know is George M. Dallas. Greatest VP.
Yes, it's very George M. Dallas sort of vibes from him.
Next to Kamala, it's Kamala Harris and then George M. Dallas.
Yeah, the two icons. But yeah, he's crazy. I mean, hats up to Christopher Walken. He like you're never going to be bored listening to him say lines in a movie, especially when he has to say like kind of serious lines about Batman. He's like playing it straight. Like he's like playing a pretty straight villain. He doesn't have like jokes really, but he's like also talking about Batman, and he sounds so crazy and he looks so crazy. He looks out of place and like off-putting. I was going to say it was like a big accomplishment for a movie like this where like Danny DeVito looks more like the Penguin. You're like, you see me, he's like, okay, like, yeah, like that belongs here. But like you see this character and you're like, it's so off-putting the whole time. I don't know what it is about him or how he's styled or what.
I mean, I think it's everything you're saying because he's like also he like turns on a dime several times in this movie, and like it's comical because there's no humanity in his turns. Like he's literally handed a human hand, and he's just like, oh, okay, I'll work with you. Like,
he's so evil.
He's so evil. Like he shoves a woman out of a window. He's gonna push Selena Kyle out, but then he's like, psych, no, I'm not. And then he says, yes, I am. And then he shoves her to her death. And then she shows up the next day.
That scene before he pushes her is the most villainous scene in movie. It's really uncomfortable when he's like all up in her personal space. And I see how, well, I don't know if kids would get the subtext there, but I could see how people would just be like, that is fucked. Like that scene was the power dynamic made me, was the most uncomfortable I was in that movie, was that scene where I was like, oh my God, this is not,
I did feel, I feel like it was like on like, so I guess probably like the most serious note that there will be, or that you could have like talking about a movie so silly as this, is like, it did feel like her being pushed out of the window was like maybe kind of a stand-in for like an assault of some sort, because judging by just because that arc of like that crazy thirst for revenge feels more like like an assault, like revenge motivated thing, rather than like, I guess I'd be mad if someone like pushed me out of a window and want revenge on them too. It's just, it feels like what they're like symbolism in a way for like some sort of assault.
Oh, absolutely. Because he's like, she's a witness, and by witness, I mean she read what he was what he was doing, and he was trying to silence her, but he was also, there was just so much misogyny from him towards her about her like being dumb and like, oh, I can't believe she figured it out. I thought I didn't realize she had brains. Like he so devalues her because she's a woman. Like that's all there, and it is this delicious revenge plot for her. Birthed from a bath of cats, which I think, I don't know if that's true feminism, but who knows. From cats,
no,
she
it
shall
is
rise.
true feminism, sir. I can answer that. I'll answer that for you. It is true feminism.
So mote it be. So those are our villains. The stage is set, and also it's Christmas. But you know what it also is? It's time for a break. Podcast 616, we're gonna keep this tight. We're gonna take a quick break, listen to our sponsors. We'll come back. We'll finally talk about Batman. Much like the movie, we're delaying our reveal of Batman.
Yes.
I feel like this podcast is taking just as much time revealing Batman as the movie did. There, I said it. The podcast 616 will be right back to talk about more Batman Returns, so keep it right here.
What's up, everybody? Chase Smith here from the Chase Smith Podcast and Cavs on the Break NBA Podcast.
And I'm JD, host of the Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, and we are super excited to bring you a brand new show starting next Tuesday, the Fanfare Podcast.
The Fanfare Podcast is all about your favorite movies and our favorite movies and the best moments in cinema. To help guide our discussion, each episode will feature one classic, and we will grade this movie using a report card-like scale A through F. We're going to be grading categories like acting, directing, cinematography, the score, and even the movie poster itself.
And when we're not featuring a movie report card, we'll be sharing our movie rankings, franchise deep dives, actor and director interviews, and everything in between. Movies have been a major part of our lives, and we cannot wait to share our thoughts with you.
Our premiere episode will drop Tuesday, June 27th, and JD and I will be reviewing Raiders of the Lost Ark in preparation of the release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on June 30th, the 5th installment of the franchise.
Join us on the Fanfare Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast.
And we're back. My gosh, so many Michaels to talk about. Producer Michael Skarston, but also Michael Keaton. So I'll go to Maureen, a non-Michael, since you're not biased. How does Michael Keaton work for you as a Batman?
He works fine because I'm already sold on the movie being crazy by the time he is, or like by the setting, by this world of the movie being like kind of cuckoo crazy, anything goes type of world. So by the time he's introduced, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. But I mean, he doesn't really get to do that. I don't really buy Michael Keaton as like a brooding, stoic kind of guy, or it feels like maybe a waste, as you kind of mentioned earlier. But I mean, I didn't hate it, but it feels like just sort of at level with all of the other characters. Like he doesn't really stand out that much, which is crazy because it's his own damn movie. But
he's the titular character.
I know. But like he's like so much more boring than everybody else. And I think it's also like not his performance, like Michael Keaton's performance is like not really operating at like the kind of gangbusters level that like DeVito and Michelle Pfiffer and
Right.
even I would say even Christopher Walken, even though he has a lot less to do, I feel like, and he's weird in his own way, but like it was kind of like honestly like a little bit of a drag when Batman comes on because I just want the mayhem to continue and like there's some, there's some like goofy stuff like him, you know, being like a hacker. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's not really Michael Keaton's fault. So I guess it was just kind of like, yeah, somebody has to like come in and like be the quote unquote adult in the room and get everybody back to following the law and stuff. So it was a little bit of a drag, but I guess that's just like kind of who Batman is. He's a cop.
He's a cop. He's
Yeah.
a cop. I would also say I feel like this is a very Gen X Batman. My brother is 8 years older than me, and I've decided he's Gen X. He always says he's a millennial. He's not. He's Gen X. And I think this kind of Batman, this kind of stoic in the face of crazy, who just like is reserved and stays calm and stays cool, is a very like Gen X way of looking at the world of like, if you want to save it, don't do anything. Don't even vote. Voting's not cool. And I feel like he represented that generation at that time. I do love the first time we see him, he's fully dressed, just sitting in complete darkness, brooding in his library. Did we like the bat signal had that like reflective light thing to shine on him?
Yeah, I like that shot. That
Yeah.
was a cool, like, whatever. Yeah, I like that it was sort of a contraption.
That's why it's so dark.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, how will I ever know?
He's waiting.
I built this reflective screen, but if the lights are on.
That's true. I guess he has no plans but to seek justice.
Yeah, he has no life.
None. But so what I did enjoy, and I'll throw this to you, Michael Skarston. Michael, this is a leading question because I'm not good at journalism, but how did you feel about the relationship between Selena Kyle and Michael Keaton? And sorry, I mean Bruce Wayne in this movie.
I mean, I wrote down Michael Keaton is wasted right before the scene where they meet, and then I was like, oh no, this is great. I love Michael Keaton. I love like his comedy. Like I think he's such a funny actor, even in like Birdman and stuff. He's just so great. And then
Birdman,
they're kind of meet cute, like seeing Bruce Wayne kind of be marble mouthed with her is like great. And like not, I feel like so many of the other Batman or just superhero movies in general, it's like superhero and the love interests are like they connect off of just like
crime,
essentially,
like the issue, the plot,
or a woman being in awe of like the superheroes like integrity or like their sacrifice and stuff like that. Where in this, it seems like their chemistry is kind of off the chain, and it seems like they actually like dig each other. And so I think that's the best part of like Michael Keaton's any scenes where they're together are great. The dance scene at the end, the awkward like I haven't done this in a while scene in front of the fire is really like cute and pretty honest for like a weird Batman movie. And so I think that's where that's the only time where I'm engaged by Michael Keaton's character in this is when both of them are on screen.
Yeah, and heard chef, and also I feel such a I'm a sucker for rom-coms. If y'all know me, you know I have a rom-com club. We meet in Brentwood, and I loved this idea, you know, because Batman saves Selena in like one of the first scenes, and then he doesn't see her again until after her cat resurrection, and he remembers her, and that little nugget was like, oh, he was already into her before she was Death Cat. So I love that connection. And then, you know, the fact that they both went to this, Christmas Eve masquerade that the city put on?
Yeah.
Of course, 'tis the season. They both just did not wear masks but they already are. That is their mask. The Bruce Wayne, Selena Kyle, because their real faces are the mask. It just was so, I'll give this to Tim Burton. It was so nice to see that done subtly because it will literally be stated in later Christopher Nolan movies. So it was nice to see that.
That's such a good point.
like that same idea is just like, oh, we're gonna visually show this instead of hitting you over the head with it. It was nice. They don't make movies like they used to, too many flash and bangs.
So true.
It's my Hollywood.
Yes.
That's my Hollywood voice.
And there's also the iconic continuity thing where when Batman is taking off his mask, like for a split second, they like cut back to him and he doesn't have the black like face paint around his
yeah.
And it looks like he's wearing like a Halloween mask, like for a split second before he takes the mask off. But also, what else are you gonna do? I guess. Well,
I think you could be continuity.
Yeah,
I will say that shit continues through all these, like the first 4 Batman movies, like especially like Batman and Robin. There's so many like mask removals, and it's like, where is the makeup from their eyes?
Yeah, but it's kind of like I guess it's a standing thing that just they have to navigate in every superhero movie, especially Batman, because like Batman is such a serious guy. He's like a traumatized orphan billionaire who like lives in a castle basically by himself and like fights crime and is like a cop and like wears all black and like only exists at night. Like,
yeah,
having to like square that kind of like super serious kind of character with the fact that like superhero costumes look silly always and that he looks stupid. Like he's wearing a mask with ears on it. He looks so dumb, especially in this like iteration of Batman. He has the actual like he has like the functioning bat wings, right? Like he has like the cape that like lets him fly, and he does look very silly.
And he has multiple suits too.
Yes, yeah.
Like, that was like on hangers. Like,
yeah.
I was watching. I was like, why did he pick the 4th one? It was like everything. Why didn't he just pick the first one in class? He like, no, this one.
I don't remember. Do they seem different on the rack, or is he just like Steve Jobs who has like a bunch of the same outfit because it saves brain time or whatever brain space?
I think he's Steve Jobsing it.
He does rock the Steve Jobs black turtleneck and glasses.
Yes.
He really does look exactly like Steve Jobs at certain points in the movie.
It saves him time so he can monogram the bat symbol onto a CD player.
Oh my god. Technology question. Can you like because at one point he's like playing the recording of the penguin.
Yeah, he's like remixing the penguins.
He's like, can you do that with a CD? I feel like that was like discouraged. That's why like the CDs are like enclosed in their
Damon. This is a world of whimsy. This is Tim Burton's world of whimsy. You can sail down to the sewers on a duck, and you can record scratch on a CD-ROM in this world,
course.
in this Gotham. It's not like our world.
Also, I did enjoy the it felt episodic. I felt like I was watching a Batman episode where like the plot was like, let's discredit Batman.
Yeah. Very political plot.
Very political at Christmas. I thought that was the one time of year we could like lay our arms down and be done with politics.
I know.
So I enjoyed that. I love the little gag. Can we talk about when the Penguin took control of the Batmobile and he had like his own kid-sized Batmobile? I don't know. Pretty goofy.
Pretty goofy. Anything goes. And then, well, I don't know if we're going to get to this already, but I also really love the Penguin's sort of like solemn kind of flopping into the water Viking funeral that he has.
Oh, when he like falls face first into the water. Yeah.
And he kind of like slides down as the penguins all just kind of watch.
Don't they like come out and like guide him to his?
They push him in.
I think they give him a little nudge. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is the time now. I think we've hit all the characters we need to. If there's anything lingering, any scenes you guys want to talk about, the court is open to hear those things.
Well, let me read the one other. This kind of ties into the one other line that I wrote down, which was Penguin Army approaching launch position.
Oh, I loved her. Whoever that actress was so great. That was such a great little comedy moment. That woman, whoever she was, I was like, fuck, that's
the seriousness of
Penguin
Army.
Debbie Downer. Actually,
Yeah.
she was great. When it was looking bad and Penguin was going to lose, and she just kind of like dips into the shadows. I love that. I love
It,
that. Made sense.
Yeah.
yeah, it felt
I would do that.
like because Tim Burton. Well, I mean, Catherine O'Hara has always been Catherine O'Hara, and she was great in all those. Oh fuck, I'm forgetting the name of the director, the Waiting for Guffman guy. But that woman, it felt like
Guest.
Yeah, Christopher Guest. But that woman, it just felt like, oh, why do we not see more of her? Because she was so funny in that scene in particular. And I mean, yeah, just penguins with rockets on their backs is like great and fucking out of nowhere too. The penguins, what were they blowing up? Were they blowing up the tree? Were they what were they?
I think they would have blown up. I think they were like gonna just shoot off rockets and blow up Gotham. But I truly thought the penguins would go with the rockets and blow up as well, which I thought was crazy. But I like that they just flew off their back.
Yeah.
And then Batman redirected them to just blow up the zoo, the old abandoned zoo.
The other comedy moment I loved, and visually too, when they start Penguin's campaign, his like political campaign. It's the only scene in the movie that's like well lit, like and bright and stuff. And it was just like such a fun comedy moment of like them trying to like and then biting the nose off, and that actor's great too.
And he's gnawing on like a
fish.
salmon.
Oh yeah, that's so horrible. Do you think that was real salmon? It looked really real.
Yeah,
because it kind of looked cooked.
Not. Oh, do you think what's that? What's that called when you're served a full fish with the eye on it?
Is there a name for that? I just thought it was you eat the whole fish.
Branzino?
Branzino, yes.
Branzino is a type of fish, isn't it?
I think it is, but it's always served like full. Like
That's true. That's true.
Like, you get the Branzino.
That's so true. Yeah, that was great. But they tried to like kind of like image rehab him a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's eating he's eating a whole raw fish, being disgusting about it.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, I guess we did this. We, the American public, we literally did this with Donald Trump. Like, a disgusting person came in and we tried to rehab their image.
You heard it here first. Donald Trump is the penguin. Is Danny DeVito is the penguin.
I will never stop saying that. I believe that with my whole heart and my whole chest. So, I mean, I like the satire, the political satire. It's there. Great. But it's just so nasty. It's just so nasty.
It was really hard. Like when I was watching it, I had heard, I think this was maybe like my second time watching this, and the first time I was kind of like half watching it. So it was like really my first time watching it, like paying attention. But I never watched it as a kid, but I've heard people say that it was scary to them as kids. And that I can totally, or that it was like too dark for kids is like part of its sort of movie lore, or like why Tim Burton didn't get to make another one, because it was like way too dark and scary for kids. And it honestly is like very grotesque, especially not like exclusive to the penguin scenes, but like it's he's really hard to look at. Sorry.
Oh yeah. And I would even say, like, even though Selena Kyle isn't grotesque, she is grim. Like when she comes home and she opens her door and she's like silhouetted, and then she like when she's making the soup, she's very
drinking the milk.
She's very gaunt in the face, very Sweeney Todd coded, if you ask me.
Yeah. And also I want to take the opportunity to say, speaking of Selena Kyle in her apartment, I am obsessed with her neon sign that says hello there. It's such a weird thing to have in an apartment, and then it pays off in that it becomes hell here. And if there are any listeners who own like a neon studio or anything, that any big fans, maybe all the incels that were listening to the She-Hulk episode, if anybody wants to make me that neon sign, I would be eternally grateful, because I want one for I want a hell here neon sign for my apartment, please. And thank you, incels. Thank you.
Yeah, incels are my biggest listenership. And I love them. They hate it. Which is like very cool little production design thing, honestly. Like I loved the look of the movie. I love that it felt like you were kind of like running around in a little dollhouse, little miniature, because it is miniatures. I think they have them at the Academy Museum here in Los Angeles. Yes, I've seen it. And also, producer Michael, make a note. We want to get the Academy Award Museum as a sponsor. No
Oh
catfish.
yeah.
Big
That'd be
fish.
good.
Big fish for this penguin to catch. I'll just say, Michael, do you have any final thoughts you want to share?
No, I mean, I agree. It was scary. It was also the sexuality stuff was like it's implied that she's like grabbing his crotch at some point in that one.
Oh yeah, she
Yeah.
says like
Fight
it's
scene.
soft or something. She like say his like dick is soft or like doesn't say,
Yeah.
isn't like explicitly talking about his penis, but like
She says
grabs his
something's
crotch
harder.
and yeah.
Which it's nice to see again, back to other super, but it's nice to see like Batman has needs, as a human
Yeah.
being and it's like I don't think Robert Pattinson or Christian Bale's Batmans were ever like, oh, I'm kind of
That's very
horned up
true.
right now.
Yeah.
Like I just like, oh, it's all
is true.
again back to like just like a desire for companionship and your loneliness, but like bats need to get off.
And I would say like I
Mhm.
mean, as listeners of this podcast who I know you're listening, the Marvel universe is like so sexless. Like they have love
Mhm.
stories, but like they're all just one little kiss at the end, but like
Yeah.
there's no sexual desire, there's no horniness to it at all because they're
Yeah.
trying to get these
That's so
dumbass
true.
kids watching these movies.
Marvel movies are so kissing is sex, like
Yes.
coded. Like they're very like the height of any like release of any like sexual tension is like a big kiss, maybe.
Big old
Yeah.
snog.
Mhm.
I also want to give a shout out to Vicky Vale. Vicky Vale got mentioned, even though she mysteriously disappeared from the first Batman movie. She was the photojournalist that they were talking about when they were on the couch. He was talking about
Yeah.
his ex-girlfriend.
That's right.
And that's her from Batman 1. I think that's true of all Batmans. He has a girlfriend in every movie, except for Batman and Robin. The girl is Batgirl, but they're not dating. But they always just disappear or they're recasted into Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
For time.
Where does this have you rewatched all of them yet?
This is only the second one, so I haven't watched them all yet, but I think this one will probably rank pretty high. I feel like this one and The Dark Knight are probably up there of
the 90s ones, the pre-Nolan.
Oh, then yeah, this is top 2. 1 and 2 are the best. I feel like if I remember correctly, Batman Forever I think is my least favorite. I don't like what's his name? Val Kilmer. Sorry. I know he's going through a rough time. Sorry. That's for another time. That's for another episode. But right now, we got to do one thing. And it's the thing we love to do every week on Podcast 616. Michael, I hope you got that cue ready. It's fuck, marry, kill. Yeah, fuck, marry, kill, where we take 3 characters and one we'll fuck, one we'll marry, one we'll kill. For Batman Returns, pretty obvious. You got ya Batman, ya Penguin, ya Catwoman. I will go first to give my guests time to think and get their ideas in order. And gosh, am I going to do this? I'm going to do it. I'm going to kill Catwoman. Yeah. I think I know where everyone else is going to go, but I wanted to be a little contrarian. I'm going to kill the cat. I'm going to take her last life.
Wow.
What
are you, Curiosity?
Yeah, call me Curiosity because I'm killing this cat. I'm going to kill Catwoman. Just she's trouble, and also in the little glimpse of mental health that they tried to put in there back in 1992, Selina and Bruce bond over their split down the middle duality personality, and when Bruce gave her the chance to get away from all that and just live in his castle like a fairy tale, as she says, she chose not to do it. She doesn't believe in a happy ending. I'm not trying to persuade my guests, but I'm just saying you will never make her happy. What's that Hamilton song? She will never be satisfied. So I'm going to end it. And that's my very long explanation for that. I'm going to fuck the penguin because I'll just say this. I've seen worse. I've been with worse. I could survive.
Names.
Even with the crack stain.
Even with Maureen, I want to find out. I want to find out what's up with that,
Fair. Do you think he has a cloaca?
Who's that?
I I guess that was sort of just a general question about what you think his genitals are like, and if you think he has the bird cloaca genitals, or
I see. Beautiful name. I'll name my first child Cloaca.
it's a nice name, yeah.
And you know what? I'm gonna find out. I'm curious, and because
Yeah.
again, I'm curiosity. I'm gonna kill a cat
Right.
and fuck a penguin.
Wow. Yeah, please report back.
And then I'm gonna marry Batman because I want that house. I want that Alfred. I want everything he has.
Hmm.
And I don't mind that he's out every night. I'll stay home. Done. Perfect. And yeah, those are my choices. Let's
Wow.
see. Let's go to Maureen Monahan, our
Okay.
most seniored guest, please.
Oh, please. Okay. Well, I guess I know I'm going in kind of a conventional direction here, but I would obviously fuck Catwoman. And then
Obviously,
I
yes.
would kill Batman as well. Same sort of reasoning. I want his house. And I would marry the Penguin because you know why? I do think I could change him. And he was so close to becoming the mayor that I feel like if he just had me kind of in charge, sort of Lady Macbething him and and sort of like running the show for him, we could be really powerful. And then as soon as we got married and as soon as he like ascended to power and took over Gotham, then at that point I would kill him and take power myself.
That worked because you would have killed Batman, and he was the other one who stopped the Penguin's
Exactly,
run for mayor.
exactly.
So
Yeah, exactly. So with Batman out of the way and me kind of taking the reins and coaching him through his debates and stuff, I do think that I could rise to power pretty quickly with not a lot of pushback with Batman out of the picture.
that's lovely. And I hope you take this as a compliment, Maureen. I think you could be a very successful Lady Macbeth.
Thank
I truly
you.
think. Yeah.
Thank
I
you
see that
so
for you.
much. Thanks. I'm working on it.
Day by day. Michael Skarston, hot stuff, as some people like to say.
Wendy's hot
Good.
stuff. It's a
Listeners,
Wendy's shirt.
Michael Skarston is wearing a shirt that says hot stuff, and apparently it's a Wendy's shirt.
It's about sandwiches, little beef sandwiches.
That's what I call you behind my back.
Maureen, that's a great answer. I was gonna go more conventional, but killing Batman because I don't want to talk to Batman. I just want the house, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll go with my original answer, which would be to fuck Catwoman because there's no explanation needed there.
No.
And then I would kill the Penguin just because he was going to murder a bunch of children and stuff like that. And then I would marry Batman because he seems, that seems like a stable life and stuff like that. And I can just be there. Alfred and I can pal around. I'll do the cooking. Alfred will do the butlering. And, Batman can just be out. I would put some lighting in that space, get some colors going on in there.
Colors would be nice.
Yeah. It's probably important for us to establish that, like, I know, Damon, you didn't say this, but I think we're all kind of operating under an understanding that no matter who you pick, you do also still get to fuck Alfred.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all fucking Alfred. That's the thing. Yes, it's unsaid.
I think it goes without saying. Yeah.
It goes without saying. I mean, that's what they're doing. I'm sure there is fanfic.
Hello. Yeah. For sure.
Like probably a hotter version, like a zaddy version of Alfred, where they be
version.
Fucking. You like this? You like this, Alfred?
There's nothing wrong with him. When he's like kind of running, when he's like at the computer in his big headphones.
Yeah. And I laughed at that scene because I was like, what is he doing? Does he even know what a computer is? He's like, oh yes, Master Wayne, he did it.
The like DJ, the computer stuff is like the type of thing that it like sounds like it could have been Tim Burton's like True Vision, or it could have been like like a Sony Leaks situation thing where there is an exec being like, kids would love if Spider-Man did a Tough Mudder or whatever, where like they're like DJ.
Wait, what is?
What
is that? They wanted him to do a Tough Mudder.
Yeah, they in the like, when there were like those big Sony, like the big leak of all those email, like a bunch of stuff came out But one of the things was that they were like pushing for the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies to have him say, I think it was like to say NBD and also do a Tough Mudder. Like they were like, yeah, like Spider-Man could do a Tough Mudder and then say like NBD because it of course wouldn't be a big deal to him, or like something along those lines. Anyway, I didn't know. It was to Tim Burton's credit, you couldn't tell if that was like a pandering to the youth kind of thing or if it was genuine to the wild and crazy world that this movie inhabits.
And I think Tim Burton would say, why can't it be both?
So true.
Well, that's Batman Returns, everybody. Happy to do this smack dab in the middle of September, this little Christmas movie. So please, I think we're pro. I'm pro.
Election season.
And thank you, Maureen. That is more relevant. Election vote, you little incel idiots. That's why I call fans of this podcast my incels. All right, let us head. Thank you both so much for doing this podcast. Let's head into the plugs. Maureen Monahan, are you on social media?
Yes, I am. I'm on. I always forget my fucking handles for stuff, but I'm on Twitter at Mo Monahan, and I'm on Instagram at Mormon. I probably, if I had the foresight to know I would ever be plugging my social media to anything, I would have made them the same thing. But just a humble small town girl who never dreamed of a plug, I guess.
No one, and you know what? No one ever does. But thank you for your plugs.
Thank you.
Michael Skarston, where can we find you? Pizza something?
Pizza Skarston on the socials. I'm not super active on them, but you can check them out. And then I put internet skits on YouTube under Pork Horse. That's Pork Horse. And that's where you can see a good, funny, I guess, sad videos.
No. No, you're sad. Your content is very funny.
But yeah, check out Pork Horse. I might change the name in 3 months and then it'll be something else. It'll be like a Kaleidoscope Coffin or something. Because I can't decide on a name, but I like Pork Horse for now.
Jump on the horse now, folks, before it changes. This is podcast 616. You can follow this podcast on Instagram and TikTok at podcast616p3. That P3 stands for Press Play Podcast, the podcasting network that allows me to talk about Batman on a Marvel podcast. I can literally do whatever I want. The power is strong. You can also follow me, Damon, on Instagram at Black Chandler, BLK as in Black, Chandler as in Chandler Bing. Follow that for any updates I might have to have. Producer Michael, if you want to hop on the podcast, Mike, real quick, what letter grade would you give this podcast that we just did?
An A++.
Yes. Also, Michael, I didn't ask, did you watch this movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was okay. I liked it better when I was like 8 years old.
Yes, which was less than 20 years ago, everybody, just so you know. All right. Just putting that out there.
That can't be right.
We'll be back next week with Batman Forever, which might as well just call it Jim Carrey show. Until that time, just remember that with great power comes even greater responsibility.